Tomorrow, November 9, we will commemorate the 74th anniversary of the horrific Kristallnacht event.
In 1938, there were only about 500,000 Jews in all of Germany, which was less than 1% of the total population.
On November 9, 1938, we went to bed in a state of despair.
Many people are not aware of the historical fact that it was Hitler who planted the first seed leading to the Holocaust, when he personally ordered the destruction of the large liberal synagogue in Munich. Many people, myself included, believe Kristallnacht was the beginning of the Holocaust era.
Kristallnacht was a gateway to the Holocaust, for after that nothing stopped the Nazis.
I myself only know that on the Kurfürstendamm, which is the Champs-Élysées of Berlin, that any store, any boutique owned by Jews was destroyed. There were diamond stores, there were high fashion stores, and all that was destroyed.
Sometime after midnight, there was a big bang on the living room window. I could see the silhouette of a man standing on the exterior staircase. It was a man from upstairs. He was yelling, "Steht auf, steht auf! Die Synagoge brennt! Get up, the synagogue is burning!" Later we learned that the crowds were standing in front of our house because the access to the synagogue was blocked by the police and the fire brigade. They were not there to extinguish the fire, but to protect the other buildings around in case the fire spread.
Hitler used the Kristallnacht tragedy to test if the world really cared.
The streets were full of hooligans and bystanders. Very few made an attempt to help.
I was in Berlin on Kristallnacht. It was scary. I tried to avoid walking over shards of glass and saw it all. I watched the synagogue on Fasanstraße burning out of the window of the elevated train I was traveling in.
I saw the dying embers of 4 synagogues situated in the Schulhof or synagogue square, little tanks of flames still licking at the piles of timber.
I could taste the smoke.
The crimson sky over the synagogue was very visible. Everybody knew at once what I had heard from the man upstairs was true. Everybody was silent.
The silence on that morning was palpable. The kind of silence there is after a heavy thunderstorm.
Shortly after, we heard noise coming from the gate and saw 3 Gestapo officers in leather coat. They were breaking the front gate open with a crowbar. They came to arrest my father. By nightfall, it became known that the men were taken to the Dachau concentration camp. In no time, it became clear this was a nationwide horror that had befallen the Jewish community.
30,000 Jews were arrested, most of them sent to concentration camps, and at least 91 people were killed during those 2 days.
The German government deported in one swoop some 17,000 Polish Jews residing in Germany. German Jews were arrested and sent to 3 concentration camps in Germany: Dachau, Sachsenhausen, and Buchenwald.
When the fire was extinguished, the bystanders completed the destruction of the synagogue. They even dynamited the place, but part of the structure did not fall. It took them 10 days to finish the job. We had to pass by the place every single day and remember with what joy people demolished our synagogue.
They were quite happy that those rich Jews were finally punished.
It was not just the synagogue itself that was attacked, but the whole Jewish community.
Unfortunately, there was not much help from anyone. The Germans just stood by, watched what was going on.
Nobody else in the world did anything, as far as I can remember. The Jews of Germany had to leave the country as quickly as possible.
In Berlin, there was the Neue Synagogue in the Oranienburger Straße. And when it was set on fire, the fire chief, who was in charge for that district, disobeyed orders and went and asked his firemen to put out the fire. And he did. His name was Wilhelm Kreuzfeld. He found a document which said that any building of great cultural value had to be saved. So he ordered his police, firemen to go to the synagogue. He went with them, and when the stormtroopers protested, he showed them the document, he shoved them aside, and he put out the fire. This synagogue was not destroyed, it's standing today, and as a matter of fact, in 1939, a year later, the Rosh Hashanah service, the last services were held there for Rosh Hashanah.
About 7,000 Jewish businesses were looted, and about 250 synagogues were burnt or destroyed.
I witnessed the destruction of the liberal synagogue in Munich, June 1938. I survived a deportation. I witnessed the destruction of many synagogues in my hometown. I was there. I understood. And I grew up fast during these fateful Kristallnacht days.
It happened, therefore it can happen again. This is the core of what we have to say.
We, the survivors and witnesses to this madness, don't need commemoration. We live it. The events are engraved in our minds forever, and the dreams that keep popping up unannounced and unexpected, don't let us forget. But the world needs commemoration. It has to be reminded of the past in order to make sure that such tragedies will not happen again.
We must be aware of it and never forget that it happened in a country that was considered to be civilized, the country of Goethe, Schiller, Beethoven, Bach, and many others. Today, anti-Semitism is rising globally at an alarming rate. Who can stop it and how? We have to be vigilant. We must teach tolerance in schools and hope that one day the world will be a better and saner place for all.
Hopefully, today's youth will stand up against injustice and hatred and not let such horrors happen again.
As we commemorate Kristallnacht and listen to what the eyewitnesses shared with us, we must ask ourselves, has the world learned anything from that horrendous event? Sadly, we know the answer. Hatred has not disappeared. Discrimination and persecution continue. Genocide has occurred. And there are still governments that allow this to happen and actively participate in it. Standing by and being silent is not an option. As Jews, we have learned to stand up for ourselves, and we must do the same for others, to show them and the world that they are not alone. That unlike the Jewish people who were abandoned during the Holocaust, we are here, standing up, ready to say something. Speaking with survivors, I asked what they expect of us and future generations. Their response was simple. We are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. We cannot be silent bystanders. It is the obligation of each and every one of us to fight injustice committed against any other human being. The Jewish people are resilient. We have seen and experienced what racism and hate can do, but we have survived. We are here. So when we say, never again, it means never again to anyone, anywhere.